Hello, my name is Sarah Wheeler and I'm a math instructor at the McClellan Center. I come to you today in celebration of National Distance Learning Week. The title of this presentation is Significant Learning. The purpose is to define significant learning experiences, and then I want to show you how you can use Blackboard to create those significant learning experiences. So, a few years ago I read a book called Creating Significant Learning Experiences by Dr. L.D. Fink, and he explained how he traveled all the way across the country interviewing professors and instructors in all different types of post-secondary institutions. And he asked them, imagine yourself teaching in a perfect situation where students will do anything and everything you ask of them. In your deepest, fondest dreams, what kind of impact would you most like to have on your students? And from the responses he received, he developed the list that you see on the screen. Teachers said things like, I want my students to develop a deep curiosity, to engage in lifelong learning, to experience the joy of learning, to continue to grow as critical thinkers, to value continuous improvement. So, I found myself troubled because for years, this is my 12th year as a math instructor, and all this time I have been focusing solely on content, the foundational knowledge as Dr. Fink calls it. And while that's not a bad thing, because of course students need to know the skills and the basics of the different disciplines that we teach in, but there's got to be more to it. So again, I found myself troubled trying to figure out ways I can implement these different layers into my classroom. So what I want to do for the next several minutes is show you ways that I've tried to bring those elements into my classroom. Application and integration. How can I get my students to apply what I teach them outside of the classroom? Or how can it become a deeper level of learning by integrating into other disciplines? So what I did was to introduce each new topic. I found something outside of the math classroom when these things might be used. So when I talk about solving linear equations, I show them that a linear equation can model what you need to create a budget. When we talk about solving quadratic equations, a quadratic equation models the path of a guided missile. So that's a huge thing in national defense. When we solve radical equations, that has an extension into the engineering field. When we talk about finding slope, I show them how it's used in architecture and construction. And when we talk about writing equations of lines, it's a huge element in the forensics field. Knowing those kinds of things can extend outside of the math classroom. Now, the human dimension and the caring aspects, I don't feel like I'm doing a great job with those yet, but I hope to continually improve. I always look for ways to get better. So I take a couple of class meetings and I show the two videos that I'm about to explain to you. The first one, you can either search TED Talks or YouTube and search for grit. Angela Duckworth created this video where she shares her research. What she found is that student success is not tied to talent. Actually, there's an inverse relationship between success and talent. What they're finding is that grit is the significant predictor of success, and grit is the passion and perseverance to stick with a goal for a long period of time, not just a day, not just a week, but for months or years. And she talks about the growth mindset and how there is such a weight lifted off of students' shoulders when they learn that their brain can change based on their efforts. So they're not stuck where they are right now. They can change based on their effort. So we talk about grit, and we discuss this video. It's only about 6 minutes. And when we're done with our discussion, I ask them to write a few sentences on what they learned from that video or how it motivates them to continue on even when things get tough. Now, another video I'll show is around midterm when things get a little stressful. You can go to YouTube and search for an experiment in gratitude. And in this video, they gave participants a survey at the beginning to track or to test their level of happiness. Then they asked the participants to write a letter to someone in their life who was influential. And then they surprised them by telling them they had to call those people and read the letters. And after those phone calls were made, they gave them another survey on their level of happiness. And what they found was, for those who made the call and read the letters, their level of happiness increased. So what I try to talk to them about is how, even though we get so tied down in our lives and we get stressed out because, let's face it, life happens and things are tough, but one way to remember that there's more to it than just what's going on in our bubble is to show gratitude. So again, I'll ask them to write a few sentences and respond to what they gleaned from that video. Another thing that I do is we'll have a "Why Are You Here" session. Why are you here? I'll go to Google and I'll search for this graphic. You can type in earnings and unemployment rates. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts out this chart where it shows on the left side the median weekly earnings based on degree level. So I show them, you guys are right here, some college, no degree. And then we'll calculate the difference if they move up to an associate's degree, or even if they continue on to a bachelor's degree. And then we'll extend that to the yearly difference. And they're shocked to see how much of a gap there is between where they are now and earning that 2-year or that 4-year degree. And then on the right side of the screen, you see the unemployment rates. And I point out to them that those unemployment rates drop as degrees are attained. And again, I'll ask them to respond to this using a few sentences on what it means to them, and does it help them be more motivated to stick with it and reach these long-term goals. So what you can do is, as far as the application and the integration goes, think of some things outside of your classroom where your subject area is involved, and find some images or find some things that relate and implement those into your PowerPoint presentation. And I want to show you something called a snipping tool, or you can use a website, a service called Jing, JING.com, where you can select an area of your screen. So let's say I have a graphic that I want to, or a picture that I want to copy and paste into my PowerPoint. You can go to your Start button, and if you have the snipping tool installed, or you can install the snipping tool, you'll click there, and it allows you to select any portion of your screen. So once I select it, I'm going to right click and copy, and then I'll go back to my presentation. Let's pretend I don't already have it there, and I'll right click and say paste. And now you have this image that you can resize, manipulate, move around, and that's how you can implement those into your classroom. Now for the videos, you may have run across some other videos that you find are motivational or that tie to your subject area. So let's say you want to create a Blackboard assignment where students maybe watch the video and respond to a writing prompt. I'll show you how to do that. So let's go to one of these videos. You'll capture the URL, copy and paste the URL into Blackboard. So I'm going to right click and say copy once I've selected it. And then I'm going to go to my Blackboard class. And if you want this to be an assignment, you'll hover over Assessments and click on Assignment. You'll have to give it a title. So I'm just going to say something like Gratitude. And you'll type the instructions, so something simple like watch the video and respond to this prompt, and then you'll type the prompt. But to embed the video into this assignment, you have a button that says Insert it or Edit Embedded Media. So if you'll click there, I've already copied the URL, so you'll paste it into the file box, and then at the bottom right hand side of the window you'll click Insert. And then you have to select another set. Well, you have to tell how many points are possible, but you can do other things like a due date. You can do some things with the grading options. But when you're finished making all of your settings, you'll click Submit. And then the students will be able to see and respond to this assignment. So when you create something new, it always goes to the bottom of that content area. But you can see the video is embedded. They'll be able to click on it and it will go right to YouTube. To respond, they'll click on the title of the assignment. There's a link for that title. And if they scroll down just a bit, since this is a writing assignment, they'll click Write Submission. And in the dialog box, they'll be able to type their response. And when I grade these, I actually give them feedback regarding their grammar because I want this to be a learning experience. I want this to be a widespread, a global learning experience. Okay, now the aspect of learning how to learn. How do we make our students better students? Believe it or not, there are so many soft skills that we may assume students have and they don't have. So a couple of things I do at the beginning of each semester. First, I have a Blackboard assignment called Expectations. A few years ago, I took part in a webinar by Mr. Tom Carson, and he found that he would look at students and say, oh, that student's going to make it, or no, that student is not going to make it. And finally, he had this revelation, wait a minute, if I can tell by their behaviors whether they'll be successful or not, why not share those behaviors with the student? So I took his document and I edited it a little bit for my class. So let me show you my expectations assignment that I create for the students. I'm going to choose one of my Blackboard classes, and on the left I created a tool link that says Online Assignments. And the first one they complete is the expectations assignment. So you can see that I have embedded a document here, and I'll show you in just a second how to embed an item. But they can click View Full Screen, and it's a user-friendly way to view a document without having to download it. But I ask them to read through these columns of behaviors of strong and weak students, and then at the bottom I list my expectations. I say, if you are willing to do these 4 things and do them well, then you will be successful in my class. So after they've read over those items, the assignment asks them to write a 1-sentence summary. So it's forcing them to analyze and interpret what they just read. And they'll respond with that 1-sentence summary. I have this due within the first 2 weeks of the semester. And then the other thing on the slide for learning how to learn was a discussion board where they post their study tips. So I create a discussion thread where I ask students to respond with their tips for studying for a math test. So not only do I want them to respond with their own study tips, I ask them to read their classmates' responses, and hopefully they can develop or improve on their own study plan. I have this due before the first exam. That way they have the rest of the semester to make adjustments and to update as needed. So let me show you quickly how to embed an item. There are some other things that I do just as extra resources in Blackboard. I have my PowerPoint presentations in a folder that I title Lesson Notes. I don't set things up as modules because I don't have an online class, but these are just added resources in Blackboard. But I will upload my presentations before class so students can print those or pull them up electronically during class and take notes electronically. That way they're not frantically writing everything that I say. They're just filling in their own takeaways from the things we talk about. But then I'll also I'll save my annotated PowerPoints where I've worked out all the problems. I'll save that and upload those in this folder as well. And they're sorted by date. That way students can go back and fill in any gaps they may have had. I put reviews out for students, and so I want to show you how to embed an item. As you notice, my reviews are embedded, so it's a user-friendly way to view those. So if you want to embed an item, you'll go to Build Content and click on Item. You'll give it a name, And you'll need to create an account with some program such as box.com. You can upload files and folders. It's very quick to upload, and then you'll choose the file that you want to embed. So let's say I want to embed this review. Go to the ellipses or the box with some dots in it. If you click there and hover over sharing, then click embed widget. In the embed code box, you can hit Control A to select it and Control C to copy. Go back to your Blackboard item, and in the HTML box, you can hit Control V to paste that embed code. And when you click Update, you'll see that something happened. And then I still browse my computer to upload the actual files if students wanted to download those. But when you click Submit, you can see that you will have created, if you scroll to the bottom, remember they always go to the bottom, you've created this item and it is embedded, and then you can grab the arrows to move it around if you want to move it to the top of the list. So that's how to embed an item. In closing, I hope that this video has been beneficial for you. You can see my contact information on the screen, my office phone number, my email address. If I can help in any way, I would love to be of assistance. If you want help learning how to use Panopto, because I use Panopto to record my lessons and put those videos out there for students, I can help you create an assignment in Blackboard. Anything at all, I'd be more than happy to help. And I hope this video gets you to start thinking of ways that you can create significant learning experiences in your classroom. Thank you for your time.